Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today we're back with another review. Today we're taking a look at the 2001 GMK Atomic Blast variant from NECA Toys. Yes, originally released I think back in 2018, I could be wrong, 2017 or 2018. It has been a few years since I've gotten this guy specifically. This is NECA's first ever attempt at a Spitfire Godzilla. And as a result, it's also one of their first flat out repaints. So with that in mind, with how NECA later did with their beams and how NECA did as far as including stuff with their figures go, for their first attempt, did they knock it out of the park, or is this thing just sad and pathetic and completely an abomination? Does it improve some of the stuff from the original release, which I still don't have as of this recording, or is this guy just fizzled out entirely? Well, let's find out. For the blue on the face, this of course, NECA decided to go for a more different take. See, instead of a base form Godzilla and then him having the blue plates and him simply shooting the beam, no, they went the extra mile and gave this thing a whole new flair that I don't think any other figure company was able to recreate on this level of creativity. See, NECA decided to just cake this thing in blue, which is exactly what they did. All of the face, well, most of the face at least, has blue paint more towards the bottom half, not towards the top, but basically where the atomic breath would be shining as far as the light reflecting off the actual body is where there is blue paint. Blue paint, sorry. For the inner mouth, there you go. We have a bunch of blue and dark blues and light blues. Sorry, I have cats. That are just absolutely phenomenal. The top, we have a bunch of light blues mixed in with a bit of darker ones to signify the gums. The teeth are individually sculpted and all painted. And of course, for the bottom jaw, I don't know why I closed it. We have the little tongue, which is cut off by the hinge. Makes sense. And of course, the rows of teeth in there as well that are more of a brighter blue. And I guess that's part of the reason why I love this thing so much, because I love Godzilla and I love blue. So a blue Godzilla, mwah, perfect combination for me. That said, the face is pretty damn sweet. The neck, however, definitely kind of carries a lot of the blue over. There's a bit of a gap where you don't get the blue, here and there for the jaw, and it definitely looks a little incomplete, I'll say. So there is going to be that unfortunate part of it. But that said, the neck segments look absolutely beautiful and are just done very well, especially the side details where you have more the base detail than up here where you get the more bigger rows of plates actually colored, and it looks very nice. That actually lead into the main row of fins. For the waist, which we'll actually take a bit of a look at here, lowering the figure down like that. For the waist, here we have, or the stomach, sorry, we have a bit more of that caked on blue, and it looks very good. We have the more indigo, dark blue, not really purple, it looks purple, but it's not purple. Hues at the shoulders with more of them towards the, kind of like a strip of it going down towards the arms here, as well as the claws, which are actually really well sculpted and shaded, which actually have some pretty good detail on them, which I'm pleasantly surprised about. Look at those razor sharp claws. Anyway, going back, here we have a bit more of the paint at the midsection, which as you can see for the detailed stuff, it's a bit more squared off this time. Going to the arms themselves, just to give you guys a better look at those. Lots of nice, beautiful detail. I like how it's all the paint is obviously meant to go as a design, so it's meant to kind of go moving the arm a little bit like this, and it looks almost not seamless but really great together, all things considered. We have of course the abdomen here, which is a bit scuffed on mine, but that's only because of years of wear and tear. For the dorsal plates, which you might as well just get these things out of the way, they are translucent and they are beautiful. I honestly genuinely thought at one point that they were made of gummy. Look at that. Does that not look like the stuff that a whale shark is made of, like one of those gummy sharks, the whales or sharks, whatever. Like, they're all very flexible too. A little too flexible. Mine's kind of coming out of the sockets a bit. I think I glued this one back in place a while back. No, well. You're gonna have to do that with this one too. But yeah, and I guess this one too. Yeah, I don't really touch this figure on a day-to-day basis, so as you can see, all the frosted white tips with the darkened blue centers, they look great as well and just look the part that they should. Like, they're charging up. As well as the more blue base at the actual base of the plates, and they look great too, having their own unique paint applications, as well as a bit of like shining marks from like the forearms and the upper legs, which again, like the lighting consistency on this thing is actually pretty damn sweet. As well as a bit on the tail here, but that's a topic for another minute. Going down to the legs, where we get more like the big meaty thighs Godzilla's known for. And of course we have a bit more like the scaling, like the knee pads there. And it just looks really nice with the feet as well. Which, to go over the claws, we actually have some line work and it looks really nice. I definitely think it would have benefited from some more shading, but I think that the application for what it is done decently. I say decently because they didn't really paint it all the way. Like, I don't see why they couldn't, especially because they did it on things like the 54, I believe. Could be wrong. But that said, for the tail as well, all of the segments here are done really well. And I do like what we have here. However, if there's one problem, a little blue axis paint, there's no other paint for the tail. It is entirely one note color and popping my tail off by accident. Yeah, this thing is basically just, it's just this. It's just one color, which is weird because NECA is known for painting all their tail spikes. Even the GMK standard version at least had painted on tail spikes. Maybe not this one, I guess. So that's going to be a bit of a con. So just as one final look at the figure itself, side, going down to this side, as you can see, upper view, and of course the lower view. So for the sculpt and paint, the detail work is awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's actually really good, and the new paint application for what was NECA's first attempt at a Spitfire Goji, awesome. That said, I definitely think that there was a bit of a miss with this one, because of the way that this was designed to be hunched over. And I do appreciate the addition of the more darkened color scheme, because it has a more charcoal, darker color scheme in comparison to its original predecessor, which I know wasn't necessarily accurate to the film, but it added at least a bit more variety, so I'll give that figure that. But my main problem with this figure is just that it doesn't, how do I say this? I feel like aside from the blue, there's a bit of miss when it comes to like the dry brushing, the wash, which is something that even earlier NECA Godzillas had. Yes, there is blue, but I feel like maybe like a bit of a gray wash would have been nice, in my personal opinion. And not to mention, while there is like some form of shading on the claws up here, or maybe that's just my eye playing tricks on me, because like, look at that, it doesn't make a return here. Plus, you have a whole section that is missing paint. So, that said, I think the pros easily outweigh the cons, but the cons do carry some weight to them. So I'm gonna say, what's a great way to, I'm gonna say a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely feel like that's a fair rating for this guy, because, let's bump that up to, let's just lock it in at a 7.5, because I feel like what's really cool is that the blue paint looks like it's actually being shot at, well, as far as like a beam is concerned. So there is that, but really, I feel like this is definitely one of the more underwhelming as far as like the base color of it. So yeah, there's that. So 7.5 out of 10 it is. But what this figure also has is at least a plethora of movement. You've already seen it like a billion different times when I've taken a look at this guy in the past, especially that one video that spawned the, my gosh, this is stiff gag on the channel, which I keep referencing from time to time. If you long-time viewers of the channel want to know where that's from this guy. For the jaw, we can open about this far and close up about this far. But if you notice something about the jaw sculpt, it's that when you open it, it doesn't look right. I feel like it's because the jaw sits too forward on the head, like the cut in the jaw. So I feel like if there's a bit more back and it like dug into the sculpt a little bit, and then like the 54 you could like lower it down, then it would look better. But because of that, like look at the way that the jawline goes. That doesn't really look right, especially because this is a Godzilla that's supposed to have his mouth open. So, but for intents and purposes, you can open about that far, close it about that far. For the head, you can go down about that far, up about that far, to the left, and to the right. For the neck piece, which is a bit stiff, my goodness, you can actually go down about that far, and with the two joints, of course, forward about that far, and get some mild side. Not too much, but there is a bit of a swivel as well. For the shoulders, you don't get a swivel hinge. I don't believe it's one. You just get a really freed up ball joint, which allows you to go a full 360 and kind of go in and out a bit. So you can go out like that and in. For the elbows, you can go like that, like this, and can rotate at the forearm, because that's not a bicep, that is a forearm joint, because you can see where it's twisting. A ball joint here at the wrist, so you can go full 360 and swivel, do that to your heart's content. And finger hinges, which I don't believe are on rotations like the 62 Godzilla. Yeah, no, these will not move. I don't want to break mine, because if I break it, I break it. C'est la vie. That said, we have a swivel here at the waist, which I can't really get a good 360 out of it. It's very, like, this is literally all you can get. So there's that. For the weight hips, we can go out to the side, in like that. Can go a full 300, no, actually, no, not a full 360 degrees. I was going to say you can, but there's a lot of NECA Gojis that can do it. This guy's just not one of them. So there is that. Hinges for the knees. So you can go in about that far, out about that far, and can rotate a full 360 ball joint swivel, of course, with the feet, the big meaty feet, and go forward and back like that. And 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joints here for the tail. And if you're wondering what I meant by it was retooled for its reissue, I think what they did was they got this joint, they got rid of this joint and fused it at this piece, so all of this could be a bendy wire. I could be wrong about that, but that is what I saw on listings. So for the actual so like right here, you can get a bit of a rotation, but it's not too much. All the range is mainly going to come from here. The last three pieces, sorry. And this bendable wire, I haven't done it in a while, so we'll do it for the video. There you go. It definitely feels like there's a bit of a resistance, and also mine came busted up, and clearly it's been actually, I don't want to touch that. Look at how far it's shed. My god, I didn't even realize this. Yeah, I don't touch these figures on a day-to-day basis. It came like that out of the box, by the way. I was gonna return it, but like I didn't want to wait another 2 weeks for what was effectively a Christmas present. So I mean, then again, Christmas is like 2 weeks when I got this thing, so I could have waited. In an alternate universe, I would have this one. I'd have a more in condition one, but yeah, bendable wire from here to here, and as you can see, it loves to pop out because it is made of soft plastic, and of course it's not a particularly long tail, but it does its job. So for the articulation, it's the same old. However, again, what makes this guy's articulation a problem is going to be the hunched stance. I have tried, trust me, over the years I have tried rearing up the back, heating this guy up to the point where it literally darkens the plastic. I've reared this guy's hips up. I've tried every trick in the book, and this guy would not look straight up. Well, not like straight up as far as his head rearing up, but I mean standing upright instead of being this hunched over. I tried it. Doesn't work. I don't know why NECA decided to make it like this, but effectively, every Godzilla pose you're going to get this guy in is going to have this hunch. And to me, that's kind of a problem, because again, GMK did hunch a bit, but it wasn't this much of a hunch. And effectively, because this is the Spitfire variant, the articulation really isn't needed, especially because like when you have paint that is supposed to line up on all these surfaces, you rotate one piece and it's gonna break the sculpt. Essentially, it's gonna break the paintwork, and there are some parts of the figure where it's not even painted. So I mean, is the articulation even worth it at that point? I'm sorry, but even despite its unique posability with things like the legs and the arms, and it's serviceable enough, but at the same time, because of the way it's sculpted and the way it's painted, there's not a lot you can do with the articulation. So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to give a 6.5. Yeah, I think that's the lowest I've ranked a NECA Godzilla when it comes to articulation. Good amount of articulation, but you just can't use much without sacrificing other elements to the figure. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 it is. What's a bit of Godzilla without some firepower? Nearly every Godzilla that released in the lineup until this point anyway. For the accessories, unlike Tamashii, who can charge almost $100 for a Spitfire Godzilla and not include a beam effect, I'm looking at you, 2021 Godzilla, 2001 Spitfire Godzilla, and the 1989 Spitfire Godzilla, looking at all three of you. This guy, for $25 during his release, actually came with a breath effect. And I'm actually pleased to say, for what was NECA's first take, yeah, this is very dusty as hell. This actually turned out to be an okay beam effect. But that said, it definitely pales in comparison to its successors, I guess. But let's take a look at it. So this is going to be the same mold that you saw from the 64 video, even though this is literally the 64 beam, even though it's the 2001 beam. This guy came first. Anyway, for the actual beam effect, it is going to be a more plasma-like beam instead of like a more straightened out beam. So in some kind of ways, it almost looks like a fireball pending, and then this is like the smoke treading behind. For the actual like insert part, we have this little nub and of course the teeth mold, as we'll talk about. And it's going to be made of a translucent thick blue plastic with some white sprays on the sides. For that, we actually have a bit of like wavy pattern here, then it kind of goes a little more bumpy, a lot more bumpy, and then a little bit more flare. And then of course we get to the tip, which is going to be, again, where it's shooting out. I will admit personally that this does, again, kind of look more like a fireball or anything, because like this, just look at this and tell me this doesn't look like some sort of like asteroid about to hit Earth or something, and then this is just the smoke treading behind it. But that said, the reason why I'd say it's okay is because I feel like the spray is just that. It's just a spray. I feel like it could have used a little bit more highlights. And the detail work is actually still pretty good. And it is made from a mildly flexible plastic. It's more like the 62 material, except the 62 was a bit more flexible. This is definitely a bit more hardened. But to insert it in, you're going to see inside the mouth, there's a blue peg. Mine's covered in blue, not because of the paint, but that's actually sticky tack in there. Yeah, I decided to have the idea to put sticky tack in there just because it wouldn't hold it over the years. And you're going to see this nub. Notice how it's at a downward angle. You're going to want to insert that into the mouth like this. And of course have those teeth nubs kind of like resting up against it. Close the jaw to your heart's content. Straighten the figure back out, and bada bing, bada boom, you are getting Godzilla to shoot the beam. That said, this is actually an impressive display, and this is kind of what I meant with the beam shining like from the figure. So you can actually kind of lower it, and so it looks a little bit more, I guess, natural, for lack of a better term. What I do appreciate is, I guess this might either be the sticky tack involved or not, that the figure can hold it on its own. It won't droop or sag over time, at least not drastically. It'll sag a bit in the peg, which is why there's a bit of a curve, but as a whole, this beam is actually pretty sturdy, and after all these years, it's actually done very well. So the beam itself may not be the best, but the actual presentation of the beam is really good. So for that, I have to give this thing a 7.5. Yeah, 7.5 I feel like is fair enough for this beam. And for some size comparisons quickly, here he is with some other blue NECA Godzillas, with the 2019 V2 from King of the Monsters, and the NES video game appearance Godzilla from Godzilla Monsters. And so overall, for sculpt and paint, we already covered that. Overall, for my final thoughts on the figure, I think that, admittedly, I think that this was a pretty cool first attempt at an atomic breath Godzilla from NECA. It took a figure I didn't already have, and it actually gave me it in a new way. That said, I definitely think that of the NECA Godzillas that I currently have, which is almost all of them, the only ones I'm really missing are the 1984, 2003 Hyper Maser Blast, and the 2001 original variant. This is going to be, in my personal opinion, the weakest of the actual Godzillas. We're talking like strictly NECA Godzilla himself. Of the NECA Godzillas themselves, this is going to be, in my personal opinion, the weakest one. Its sculpt is great and has some amazing details, but it's just, you can't really, yeah, the design of the figure is faulted because it's hunched. The paint is incredible, where there's great paint, but there's other parts where there's just not really that much paint and would have benefited from some dry brush and wash. The articulation, while it has a good amount of it, it's the range and the sculpt that comes down to it because it's hunched and in a pre-post position. And a lot of the paint will get cut off. And the beam effect is great, just not the best beam effect. So as a whole, I think the NECA Godzilla 2001, I can't believe I'm saying this about a NECA Goji, is in some ways a mixed bag in comparison to the others. On his own, he's good, but that's really it. He's good. He's not great. He's not mind-blowing. He's good. That said, do I recommend him? I would say, if you want to complete a NECA Godzilla collection as far as official, legit ones, sure. I would pay no more than $50 to $60 in this guy for mint packaging, whether it be the original or reissue in the poster box. That said, if it's damaged or missing parts or anything and it's still above $60, don't even look at it. Just wait on the highest version, because I know that they did make a 2001 Godzilla, or May King one. I don't know anything about that figure. I just saw it on BBTS and was like, oh, cool. Anyway, that's about it as far as like my personal recommendations go. But as for my final rating, I'm gonna say a 7 out of 10. It's definitely, again, the weaker ones of the figure line, but overall, it's good. It's pretty good. Pretty good's a bit of a stretch, but it's somewhere between good and pretty good. So, with that said, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.